Hey, welcome back. It's your man Wise, and today we have to discuss some comments from Piers Morgan. So I'm not always a big fan of Piers Morgan, but he recently stirred up a bit of controversy by saying that Kamala Harris made history as the most far-left, woke American senator, and he's absolutely right. He doesn't always get it right, but he got it right here, and I have to give credit where credit is due. So let's take some time. Let's check out the comments he made that made liberals lose their mind. Check this out.
Spend so much time in the media in a position of prominence that still kind of, as I am, fascinated by the immediate pivot to this Kamala propaganda. Because if you remember, we're about 3 months removed from them talking about pulling her off the ticket.
Of course.
Okay, and now we're being told she's the greatest person in the world, despite the fact she ran for president, and when she dropped out, she was polling behind ISIS.
Yeah, look,
okay?
She's getting a fantastically amazing honeymoon. It's going to last about a week.
Yeah.
And then reality will kick in, and Donald Trump will start going very hard, as he already is, about her record.
Yeah.
And her record is she's literally probably the most far-left senator in modern American history.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
She is beyond Bernie.
Yeah.
Okay, Bernie from Vermont. Do you know how much Vermont has screwed up my life when you talk about identity politics and everything in between? When I was a little kid growing up in Long Island, my white parents yelled at me about eating too much ice cream. Now my Ben & Jerry's ice cream yells at me about having white parents. That's where we find ourselves in this moment. But my question to you is, will there be any other card played besides vote for Kamala or we're all racist and misogynist? Is that where this is headed?
Well, it's quite amusing to me because on the one hand, you have the Democrats shouting at Republicans, don't you dare make this about her skin color or her gender. And on the other hand, they're saying, if you don't vote for the black woman, you are a racist misogynist. Which one is it?
But you know what my favorite part of the whole thing is? They're like, well, you're a racist misogynist if you don't vote for her. They didn't vote for her.
No.
They didn't vote for her. So that
Look,
part
you know what
killed
it
me.
is? The analogy I would give you, if you're in the Titanic, which the Democrats were with Biden, and it's hit the iceberg, and it's going down, and the last lifeboat has just disappeared off into the sunset or moonlight, right? And you will take any vessel you can see, right? It doesn't matter how it's moving, how big it is, what chance you have of actually getting to land. You'll just jump on anything. And that's where we are.
The only thing I'm going to community note is the Democrats would first blame the iceberg on climate change. Then they would go get the vote.
Oh yeah, he's definitely right. Kamala Harris, before becoming vice president, was a senator from California, and according to GovTrack, she was rated the most liberal senator in 2019, even more so than Bernie Sanders. Now think about that for a second. Let that sink in. More liberal than Bernie Sanders? Really? The media has been working overtime to try to hide just how horrible Kamala Harris is or has been, because now that she's the nominee, it's like they're experiencing a sugar high. And that sugar high is probably happening only because Biden isn't the nominee anymore. But I think they're mistaking that high for her being an actually good and effective candidate. The media rarely mentioned Kamala over the last couple of years, and now they're trying to talk themselves into new thoughts about her because they're relieved Joe Biden is no longer in the race. They're either not covering her disastrous record or her extreme policies, or they're completely rewriting history and reshaping the narrative to paint her as a younger, more moderate and easygoing candidate who can unite the Democrat Party against us radical conservatives. Because, of course, they're not going to admit that they've lost all semblance of normalcy over the last couple of years. Now, there are actually a bunch of problems with Kamala as a candidate. There are two main problems, which is that she's extremely radical on policy and believes a bunch of weird things. And two, she's kind of a weird person in general. We know that one is true because, as it turns out, that her policies are, in fact, incredibly radical. There's clips of her talking about equity in an incredibly Marxist way, that everyone should end up in the same place. Not that everyone should have the opportunity, that everyone should have equal rights, but no, she thinks everyone should end up at the same place, which is just communism. What really bothers me about that the media is telling us right now about Kamala Harris is that she pretty much squandered the last 3.5 years as vice president. She's been given a golden opportunity to shine as the first female vice president, and she's done essentially nothing, which in a way, might be a good thing because her record in the Senate and all she's done before that, she's pushed dangerous leftist policies basically her entire career. But now the media is trying to downplay things and make her look like a more moderate, individual. Don't you dare fall for it. Even she basically admitted to what Piers said. Check this out.
And yeah, I am a radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing and take it seriously.
There you have it. At least the truth slips out every once in a while. Right now, she's a Marxist pretending to be center left, but that's all going away after the election if she wins. And we can't let that happen because she's not only radical, she also hates America. Harris co-sponsored the Green New Deal, a massive government takeover that would cripple our economy and cost trillions of dollars. In 2020, she campaigned on destroying American oil and natural gas. She's backed a ban on fracking. She has steadfastly stood against fossil fuels. She wants a full-scale gun seizure for quote-unquote assault rifles or assault weapons. She's also been the border czar. No matter how much the media is trying to get you to think it wasn't true. And what did we see under her leadership or lack thereof at the border? Millions of illegals flooding across the border, bringing drugs, human trafficking, and diseases with them. Harris also has a history of supporting borders and sanctuary cities. As a senator, she pushed for policies that would weaken our immigration laws and make it easier for illegal immigrants to stay in the country. And if she gets elected, here's what we can expect.
The border, to have more resources in the states and cities that are supporting migrants. And I believe we need to create a pathway to citizenship. All of that is a part of what we need to do for comprehensive immigration reform. Kamala Harris will work with Congress and get that done.
Here we have another far-left radical, Elizabeth Warren, basically admitting that she knows Kamala will work with them to grant citizenship to millions of illegals in our country. But this isn't about welcoming new people. It's about creating a new voting bloc to secure their power, plain and simple. They want to bring in as many people as possible, give them citizenship, and then count on their votes to keep them in power for years to come. And let's not forget her time as California's Attorney General, where she was more focused on prosecuting pro-life activists than going after actual criminals. She even compared ICE to the KKK during a Senate hearing. The media, of course, won't tell you any of this. They're too busy spinning their narratives and protecting their chosen candidates. They portray Kamala as a progressive hero, ignoring the fact that her policies are extreme and out of touch with the majority of Americans. They don't report on the negative impacts of her policies or her failures as vice president. They are complicit in hiding the truth from the public. But here's the truth about Kamala.
Kamala Harris is inspiring and very capable. The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
The nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
What is the solution for voters in the fossil fuel industry?
Giving the workers an ability to transition. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross the border without documentation.
Abolish ICE. Yeah. Is that a position you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
Outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
Would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
The food pyramid, for people
yes.
to reduce red meat specifically.
Yes.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
So for people out there who like their insurance, well, they don't get to keep it?
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
I'm opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
She would be a disaster for our republic. I hope things are going to continue to come out regarding her policies and that her popularity will start to wane. But with the media running cover for her, it's up to us to keep hitting her hard on her policies. Sure, she's a DI hire that's completely unfit for the job, but let's not focus on that. Let's just focus on her policies because that's where she's weakest. Her extreme stances and failed initiatives are what we need to spotlight. By focusing on her radical agenda and disastrous record, we can sway more people to our side. We need to expose her support for the Green New Deal, her push for Medicare for all, her disastrous handling of the border crisis, and her far left stance on immigration. These are the issues that affect everyday Americans, and they show just how out of touch she is with the needs of our country. If we concentrate on these points, we can build a strong case against her and demonstrate why she's unfit for the highest office in the land. But let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. Consider joining the ARP family. It supports me, the team. It gives us the ability to do what we do on a day-to-day basis. I appreciate each person that has joined the ARP family thus far. God bless each and every one of you all. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. And I'm going to catch up with you all next time. Peace.